Jack Leach once again. Another appeal. Carbon copy, and up goes the finger this time. Pujara has immediately reviewed it. I tell you what, it's hitting halfway up, just over halfway up, middle and off.
So there's two titans of the modern era head to head here. Oh yes, beauty from Stokes, he's done it! And Kohli playing at it has nicked it through to Ben Foakes. That's fabulous fast bowling.
Terrific wicket, huge wicket for England.
Leach is in, and Rohit Sharma. Stokes is in, half volley, and Rahane pings it through extra cover.
Wonderful player to watch, Rahane.
Kohli went without. Scoring edge, and it's taken by Ben Stokes at second slip, and Jimmy Anderson has the third wicket of the session, the fourth of the innings, and India are 80 for 4. Yes, an extraordinary fight back, brilliant fight back by England. They have a lot of work still to do. Remember that this Indian batting lineup extends pretty deep. They've got Rishabh Pant presumably to come out next at number 6, and then R. Ashwin, who's already scored 100, and Washington Sundar, who's more of a batting spinner than a thirds outright spinner. So there's a lot of work still to be done for England, but at 80 for 4 they are right back in the test match. And to be honest, Steve Harmison is alongside me for the next half an hour. It's probably exceeded the expectations or the hopes even of the greatest optimists. That was a brilliant session.
It was a brilliant session, Manners, yes, and it was one that was desperately needed by the England cricket team. Joe Root is on my screen at this moment in time, and he'd be delighted the way his team's fought back. Like they always do, Manners. They always fight back. There's a load of fight in this side, load of fight in this camp, led by Jimmy Anderson. Fantastic spell of bowling by Ben Stokes. I thought Jack Leach bowled beautifully as well. And if Goffey thought the first session, when he was talking about it this morning, was so crucial, this one, I think this one's going to be so intriguing, because you've got Rishi Pant. He only knows one way to play. So England could potentially bowl India out, or England could have India, right where they want them, 8-9 down by the end of this session. Or if Pant gets going, he might get 120 in this session, and India could be somewhere close to England's 205 total. So it's going to be intriguing to see how Pant goes. Be intriguing to see how England bowl to him. But the one thing is for certain, Jimmy Anderson's got ball in hand, and he'll be right up for hopefully taking another wicket and making early inroads in the session.
He's only got one ball left of this over, because the wicket fell. That's outside the off stump to Rishabh Pant. Wicket fell on the 5th ball of the last over before lunch, and so that's the end of a 45-minute over for Jimmy Anderson. But what his figures are absolutely astonishing. 12 overs, 8 maidens, 2 for 7. It's just absolutely brilliant. A lot is going to depend on how England can maintain the condition of the ball, I think. I mean, we haven't seen reverse swing like this since the first test.
No, we haven't, and that tells you how much they value looking after the ball. They always have done. While Jimmy Anderson's been playing in this long, illustrious career, that it has been a big bugbear of his to make sure this is the tool we've got. This is what's going to get us 10 wickets. So we look after it the best possibly where we can. And Dan Lawrence looks like he's the designated shiner, and he's looked after it very, very well. So it is going to be the key ingredient to get these wickets. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because will they go double spin? Dom Bess is going to come on. Will Anderson carry on? The one thing they have to continue, desperately have to continue, like they did in the first, is patience. Patience is hugely key to England's success.
Dom Bess has given the first full over after the lunch break, and here he is bowling to Rohit Sharma. Allows that ball to spin, hit him on the pad. He actually held his bat and hands high above his head, and that was pitching in line as well. It was an interesting call from Rohit Sharma not to play a shot at that ball from Dom Bess. But I must say, Jimmy Anderson's been an inspiration, as he has been for the best part of 20 years in his England career. Not quite, but forward comes Rohit to the next one. It's a good delivery from Dom Bess, and it's blocked defensively out on the offside.
And a good confident start by Bess. He's got one to turn from straight, which was a good sign. Another one landed very, very nicely, and Rohit Sharma, he's been in over 100 balls for his 30, which is unlike Rohit. But I think that's a testament to the way England have bowled to him.
Dom Bess slipping a short leg and also a man catching at mid-wicket, and it's flicked away out to that man at mid-wicket, Dan Lawrence. It's all the way along the ground, no run, 80 for 4. I'm slightly concerned I might sound like I'm obsessing about the condition of the ball and the maintenance of it and how you look after it, and I know that it's a science that is probably too advanced for me to understand, because I have no personal experience of exactly how to look after the ball, and there's a certain element of secrecy as well, isn't there? Different teams have their own theories on how to look after it, how to get it swinging, reverse swinging down the leg side here, and that's missed by Ben Foakes, and it's running all the way down to the boundary for byes. Well, it was quicker, flatter, but it was far too leg side, and Ben Foakes couldn't get there, and he's suffering the indignity of having 4 byes signalled against his name.
Yeah, Ben Foakes put a hand up of apology, it looked as though, towards Dom Bess, the bowler, but I think it should have been really the other way around. It was a poor ball. It was a poor ball. He's just kept a hold of it in his hand. It's turned off the straight, half tracker, it's gone down leg side. Rohit's got nowhere near it. Ben Foakes has got nowhere near it. And it just looked ugly.
Yeah, first runs after the lunch break, and they are byes, and Bess is in once again, and this is nudged quite firmly but quite positively down towards long on, and they go through for an easy single, and Rohit Sharma moves up to 33. Rishabh Pant against Dom Bess. This would be a good contest. I think Rishabh Pant against anybody's a good contest, actually, if he's in that bullish frame of mind that we've seen, certainly in that second Test match when he took Jack Leach on and won the contest initially. Won several rounds of that contest, actually, before Jack Leach eventually had him out, had him dismissed. But Rishabh Pant only faced the one delivery, and India are 85 for 4. Dom Bess about to bowl the final delivery of his 4th over. His figures are none for 15. Here he is, bowls to Rishabh Pant, the left-hander. He won't mind that with the slip in place as well. 39 overs gone, 85 for 4. We haven't heard from Jared Kimber for a while. You still there, Jared?
I am here. Coming into this test, the England spinners had bowled 212 poor balls, which was basically about twice as many as what the Indian spinners had bowled. And by poor balls, we're usually talking about overpitched balls, so 3 metres or fuller, or 6 metres and shorter. England bowl an overpitched ball every 2 overs, their spinners, and the Indian spinners are every 5 overs. Bess has bowled 18% of his balls too full in this series. Axar Patel has bowled 0.7% of his balls too full.
0.7%?
Yeah.
That's like one ball.
He generally goes a little bit shorter if he makes a mistake. But Bess has bowled short 5.6% of the time, whereas Axar is only 4.9% of the time.
Jimmy Anderson continuing up to the crease now, bowls and played away defensively by Rohit Sharma. Jimmy Anderson fields himself. Akash Chopra has joined us again. Akash, I've been talking a lot about England's ability to get this ball to reverse swing. You're much closer to the action than we are. What's the word on the SG ball?
Personally, I felt that it's not so much about the reverse swing today. It's the conventional swing that's doing the damage, courtesy the grass on the surface. And Jimmy Anderson has been brilliant. So has been Ben Stokes. But yes, English bowlers have done really well with regards to the SG Test ball.
Pushed away defensively again off the back foot. Now, you just tweeted that Jimmy Anderson's the GOAT, the greatest of all time.
He is. See, there are different parameters as per to judge anybody's greatness or greatness per se. You'll find longevity is one of it, adaptability is another. Then you look at the impact, then you look at the numbers. You pick those 4 boxes and you'll tick every one of them for Jimmy Anderson. At 38, 39, what he's doing in the subcontinent, it tells you that he is greatest of all time.
pushed away out on the onside, and there's no run. India 85 for 4. There's another element as well which intrigues me, Akash, is you play in a team and you become a family, and he's won Ashes, and he's moved through different generations, and there's an emotional adaptability as well, isn't there? Because he could be Ollie Pope's father.
You're absolutely right. So from being a buddy, you start commanding a lot of respect, and that happened with Sachin Tendulkar while we were in that same dressing room, and he understood that the kind of aura that he had, the respect that he was commanding at that time, and then he started behaving a lot differently as well with us, the youngsters.
Full from Jimmy Anderson, pushed firmly up towards mid-off. You have to sort of, you see these youngsters coming into the team, and they live in a different world.
And you can't relate to that world.
Yes.
But that's the beauty of some of these greats who transcend generations. They are the ones who are just there, and they adapt even in that fashion as well, not just the game off the field as well.
Here's Jimmy Anderson once again. Forward comes Rohit Sharma, pushing it out towards mid-wicket, and there's no run. Welcome to our listeners on TalkSport, joining us here on TalkSport 2. Every ball live and exclusive from England's tour of India. It's been, if you haven't heard, it's been an extraordinarily good session for England against all the odds. They took 3 for 56 in that morning session to drag themselves right back into the Test match, having been bowled out for a disappointing 205. Jimmy Anderson's figures are just eye-watering. You look at the scorecard. Depends how they finish up, of course, but you look at the scorecard now and you think your eyes are deceiving you. Into his 13th over, 2 for 7. Anderson in once again. Rohit Sharma pushes that up towards mid-off once again. And an innings of obdurate determination and slightly out of character from Rohit Sharma. Akash?
Yes, and it also tells you how he's now willing to adapt. Something that there was a bit of a criticism in Australia when he was out playing a shot which did not go down too well with a lot of experts, including Sunil Gavaskar. He was on commentary at that time for Channel 7, and he actually said he was quite lethal. He was harsh. But then this is a kind of innings that establishes him a little more as a Test cricketer. If he were to do that as just writing a new chapter in his Test career, and it's also very difficult for a defensive player, for example, a player like me or a Pujara. It's easier to go aggressive because defense, you just extend your arms, you have an aggressive shot there. But for somebody who's a naturally aggressive cricketer to now rein in, completely play out in stark contrast of what comes naturally to you in terms of just defending, not extending the arms, now allow the ball to come to you, and living with the knowledge that I can hit the ball out of the park, but I'm not going to. I think that tells you a lot about the character, the understanding of his own place in the side and in Test cricket as such.
Akash Chopra, former Indian opening batsman, part of our valuable member of our commentary team. Don Bess in, another full toss, and Rishabh Pant is gentle with it, just pushes it down towards mid-on. They take a single.
I think to go on, to extend that point on Rohit, I think it tells you how well he's playing as well, how much he's backing his defence and his technique, because if he's not, the way Jimmy Anderson's bowled and Ben Stokes bowled at him, he could have tried to blast his way through if things weren't all in sync. I think it just tells you how good he backs his defence, how well he's playing, and his value of his wicket against a very, very good bowling attack, who have bowled, and sometimes you do, and the opposition do actually bowl well.
Here is Don Bess once again. That's a good delivery. It's good length, just outside the off stump on the back foot. Rohit Sharma pushes it up to mid-on. India remain 86 for 4, still trailing by 119 runs, and what we all thought was a woefully inadequate first innings total of 205 from England is looking still a little distant on the horizon for the home side, who need to avoid defeat in order to ensure their place in the World Test Championship final, most likely at Lord's in end of July probably, as they haven't nailed down the fixture just yet, but New Zealand will be in that final. Here is Bess again, tosses it up, another full toss, driven through extra cover. He is really struggling with his lengths, and Dan Lawrence gives chase, but it's trickled into the boundary for 4. Dom Bess he's bowling at least one 4-ball and over.
He is, and the 4-ball is the full ball. Jared talked about earlier. I was going to pick up on Jared what constitutes a poor ball when he was describing it. Well, that is it, what he's just bowled there. Full toss, outside off stump, and to a man, and talking about how well Rohit Sharma's playing and the back in his defence and his technique, and the amount of times and the respect he's shown to Jimmy Anderson. Well, no respect there. That was a poor ball, and he deserved to go for 4.
Just too many full tosses from Dom Bess. Here he is once again, and then he follows it up with an excellent delivery. Good line and length, no run.
Yeah, it's fuller than 3 metres, we consider to be over-pitched, because the shorter balls aren't as easy to judge, because if a batter comes down the wicket, obviously you might drop shorter. So we generally, we can tell if someone can control their length in general from if they're bowling too full, and Bess certainly struggles with that.
Forward comes Rohit Sharma again, plays defensively out on the offside. India 90 for 4, Rohit Sharma 37, Rishabh Pant has 1.
But just to add to that, most of the bowlers are under 5% for their short balls. Joe Root was at almost 12%. So when he makes a mistake, he definitely goes short, probably because he's darting them in because he's bowling so quick.
I was going to say, I played with a few spinners who have getting a lot of wickets with their poor balls.
Yeah, there are some who have a reputation for doing it.
Never helped my career.
Here's Dom Bess, last ball of his 5th over, and it's worked away with the spin behind square on the leg side. And there's no run. Just before we say goodbye to our listeners on TalkSport, a reminder that the men out this morning in the morning session: Cheteshwar Pujara, LBW to Jack Leach for 17. Virat Kohli, only the 2nd time in his career he's made 2 ducks in a series. He was caught behind by Ben Stokes off Ben Stokes for a duck, fending off a bouncer, and Ajinkya Rahane caught by Ben Stokes at 2nd slip off Jimmy Anderson for 27. At the crease, Rishabh Pant on 1 and Rohit Sharma on 37. India are 90 for 4. And it'll be Jimmy Anderson to continue, we would think. I wonder if he's in for a marathon spell here, provided that the ball is still swinging. I don't think he'll be keen to give it up.
No, I think while the ball is in good shape, I think you've got to back your man who's got over 600 test match wickets, especially with the likes of Sharma and Pant there. You probably don't want to expose Jack Leach, even though he bowled a very, very good spell early on. I think while Anderson's got the ball doing what it's doing, I think you keep Jimmy going, and potentially think about even Joe Root himself having a go from Dom Bess's end.
Jimmy Anderson then around the wicket, beats Rishabh Pant with a beauty outside the off stump. I think Pant was playing, I'm sure Pant was pushing at that one. He wasn't playing inside the line. Akash, do you think there's a sense of trepidation in the amongst Indian supporters at the moment? I mean, it looks like a slightly precarious position, or do you think there's still a quiet confidence?
It is a slightly precarious situation. Of course, I maintain that this is a good pitch to bat, but then you still have to bat. And losing 3 wickets in the morning session, one last night, it's not ideal. And you're playing a batsman less. Rishabh is at 6.
Here's Jimmy Anderson again to Rishabh Pant once more. Play and a miss, I think, outside the off stump. But then there's Washington. So, I mean, there's still Akshar Patel, R. Ashwin, and Washington Sundar. That's quite a lot of batting.
There is a lot of batting to come, but Test cricket mostly is played by specialists. Batsmen are there to do a job, and if they fail to do the job time and again, which has been the case so far, only 2 centurions from the Indian side. One happens to be Ravichandran Ashwin out of those 2. So you know that your top order is not delivering.
Ooh, thick edge here, and it's flown away between 2nd slip and gully. I don't think it was at a catchable height, but that was more encouragement for Jimmy Anderson. Jimmy Anderson's conceded a boundary. That's the first boundary he's conceded in his 14th over. How about that?
Crazy, isn't it? He's bowled beautifully. He has bowled beautifully well. His lines and his lengths have been impeccable. For somebody who won't use the bouncer because of pace, his ability to put the ball in an area and leave it there and ask the question of the batsman's outside edge on the front foot time after time after time and not be lined up Good players, you'd think, right, we'll just line them up, get ready to, if he over pitches. Jimmy doesn't bowl many bad balls, and again you give the batsman some credit there. He dropped his hands.
Rishabh Pant again plays, I think it plays and misses it. This one, he's missed it by so much, you wonder whether he was playing inside the line. Extraordinary figures from Jimmy Anderson. They've taken a pounding with that boundary now. He's conceded 11 runs in total from 13 and a half overs.
And it's again, I come back and I keep wanting to tell myself not to go and revisit this conversation, but what you would give, Joe Root would give, standing there at second slip, what he would give for another seamer, what he would give for another quick bowler on this surface.
Here is Jimmy Anderson once again. Rishabh Pant plays defensively and there's no run. Another quick question, if I may, Akash. We've talked about you've talked about Rohit Sharma playing within himself, changing his naturally aggressive attacking game. Do you expect and should Rishabh Pant attempt to do the same thing?
No, because I don't think he's got the experience and perhaps right now even the skill set to have different gears in his game. Of course, we may actually discover that there is another way of scoring runs for Rishabh Pant, but I would hope that he actually continues to play the way he does. He's looking a bit more mature in this series, just more of the same.
Well, he does leave the last ball of that over alone. Definitely didn't play at that one, Rishabh Pant. He's 5, and Rohit Sharma is 37 off 122 balls. India are 94 for 4, still trailing by 111.
I couldn't agree more. I think Pant, he's such a talent. Why would you want to rein him in? Why would you want to ask him to do something not so much he's not comfortable doing? I think that's a challenge that he will get from a mindset as he gets older, as he gets more experienced, and as he gets used to situations he's in. But at this minute in time, he's such a free spirit. He could, with like said right at the top of the session. If Pant got in and got away, he could get India somewhere close to England's score in this session himself if he got going. And for me, if you've got somebody like that in your team, you just embrace it, let it go, and let him freewheel. Maybe he's playing a batsman short and he's at number 6. That's not his problem. Let him go and let him express himself. Mark Butcher.
Indeed.
Expressing oneself. Dom Bess be hoping to do a little bit of that as he bowls a short ball to Rohit. He doesn't quite catch the middle of the bat. I think it hits high up on the bat, somewhere near the stickers, on a front foot pull shot. Goes out to the man backward of square on the leg side, and they pick up a single. Match intriguingly poised. Just watching endless replays of the dismissal of Pujara, who's out LBW. Huge stride forward to Jack Leach. Dismissal that would never have happened back in the day when I was putting my pads on for England.
Can you imagine that, Butch? 20 years ago, you were given out like that. One of the old, experienced, first-class pros, an umpire, first-class umpire, sticking his finger up there. Took some getting off the wicket, wouldn't it?
You'd have been absolutely spewing. But not anymore. Best nicely arcing off break. Arcing into the leg stump of Rishabh Pant, who has looked a little bit scratchy in the 11 balls that he's faced so far. Just trying to get himself in. Doubtless hoping to get a bit of Jack Leach in his sights. Again, that has been a contest for the series, Pant versus Leach, but it's off spin. And Dom Bess, who's on his way to Pant, who takes a little step down the pitch, gets a little bit too close to it in truth, and can only get the bottom of the bat on it, out to extra cover, and there's no run. 110 is England's lead. India 95 for 4. Pant is 5. Rohit is 38. Rohit has looked unhurried, unfussed by anything that England have thrown at him yet this morning. He hasn't found third gear yet, you would say. One towering 6 off the bowling of Dom Bess before the lunch break. As Bess is in, it's a full toss, and Pant again comes down the pitch, probably premeditated, because again he gets a little bit too close to the ball, doesn't get the leverage, and manages to drill it via the turf into the hands of Bess, who wanders off to go and find a dry patch of ground and get a little bit of dirt or dust in his fingers to improve his grip.
Wonder if he's also got that like little pre-shot routine as he would with a golfer. He'd go over to walk to just to get a mindset, either a mindset change or a little jolt to get his attention back.
Bess is in again, and it's close to off stump. Pant gives himself a tiny bit of room outside leg, and back foot punches the ball out to Zach Crawley at point on the point boundary. That is the end of the 43rd over. India are 96 for 4, 109 runs behind. Akash Chopra is out there in India for us. Cagey stuff from the Indian batting lineup so far. Is that the conditions or the position they find themselves in the series, Akash?
Butch, not anything to do with where they find themselves in the series. I think some quality bowling to begin with. Both Stokes and Anderson exploited the conditions beautifully. There is some bounce, there is some carry, there is some lateral movement in the air. This SG Test red ball is still swinging a little. So fine exponents of the swinging ball. Anderson definitely right up there. Stokes was good as well. And then just the lack of confidence in your own game at this point in time. If you don't have enough runs under your belt, I think this is what you get. Slightly cagey, unsure, just approach to the game. And Rohit is an exception because he's doing it on purpose. Others, I think, were guilty of just not having enough runs on the ball.
Anderson starts his 15th over. Round the wicket to Pant. Again, Pant takes the bottom hand off the bat as he defends sort of half and half, not really back, not really forward. The ball drops out behind point on the offside, and there is no run. I mean, it's interesting, Akash, because obviously there's been a lot of chat about the pitches. This pitch has been excellent so far, by the way, just for the record. But the confidence in England's batsmen looks shot, but that's also the same for pretty much all of India's top order, barring Rohit Sharma, isn't it?
Absolutely, you've hit the nail on its head. Someone like Kohli hasn't hit a century for now, 40 odd innings. You've got Pujara, who hasn't scored a century for the longest time now. Rahane has been up and down, blowing hot, blowing cold. So it's a game of confidence in the end. It's not just about the skills. You know it better than most people. What goes between your 2 ears at times just dictates how you react to a ball. And if you're not 100% certain, then this is what you get. You're slightly cagey, you're slightly circumspect, you're expecting a ball to have your name on it, and you don't play your natural game, and that's been the case with this Indian team as well.
Yeah, something between the ears. That's something that I've never been accused of before. As Anderson is in once more around the wicket to Pant, who defends a little bit on the walk, and the ball is collected at cover, and there is no run.
That's why bowlers are so simple, Butch. It's so simple. There's not much going on between the ears. Just bowl fast. Simple.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little read of the averages for you, Akash. Rohit is out there averaging 60. Kohli after today's duck 28, Pujara 22, Gill 19, Rahane 17, and it's Washington, Sundar, Ashwin and Pant himself who have averaged in the 40s. Washington, Sundar, a very small sample size. Of course, the 100 from Ashwin in the win in the second Test match in Chennai have boosted his numbers, but sort of 2/3 of India's top 6 are all averaging less than 30, and half of them averaging less than 25.
Yeah, it's not doesn't make for happy reading, pleasant reading, and barring the last Test match and maybe the second Test match as well, where the pitch was challenging. The first Test match, the fourth Test match was where you would expect batsmen to just score runs, and they've had a good series down under. So in your own conditions, you expect to rule a little more, but that hasn't really happened.
Certainly has not. Anderson with a little bit of reverse swing away from the left-hander from around the wicket. Thanks, Akash. We will catch up again later, absolutely no doubt. That was Akash Chopra out, our man on the ground out there in India. 96 for 4. 109 is England's lead. Anderson and Stokes are being asked to perform a dual role, really, for England of keeping things dry, getting through plenty of overs and picking up the odd wicket. And they've responded manfully to that challenge. Anderson bails out mid-delivery stride to Rishabh Pant. The crowd not enjoying it. Boos ringing out around the Narendra Modi Stadium. But there's nothing untoward. I think Jimmy Anderson just lost his rhythm and decided not to let go of the ball.
Penny for Joe Root's thoughts there as Anderson pulled up. We're only having Stokes and not having another seamer.
Anderson in, final ball of the 44th over. It's defended into the offside once more, and there's no run. 96 for 4 here on TalkSport 2. I mean, it's not difficult, is it, Steve? I know you probably spent all yesterday talking about this while I was watching Little Rascals and Peppa Pig with India at home. But you know, in Indian subcontinental conditions, particularly for a northern hemisphere team or a non-Asian side, it's pretty basic, isn't it? You go 3 quicks and 2 spinners. If you're not sure, if you are sure, you probably go 3 quicks and 2 spinners. What have England done? They've lurched from 4 quicks on an absolute raging Bunsen to 1.5 quicks on this one, which looks like a normal deck to me.
I couldn't agree more, Butch, and I look at it, and Ashak's just said that there. He's just said specialists are specialists. You know what I mean? Specialists are this. You look at, you know, the specialist form of the game, which is, you know, bowlers bowl, batters bat.
Simple once again. Thanks, Steve Harmison. Darren Gough joins me just as Rohit Sharma peels off an imperious drive just wide of mid-off. It brings up another boundary, brings up the 100 for India, who trail by 105 now. Rohit moves into the 40s, 42 for England's opener, and he is milking Dom Bess at the moment, Darren Gough.
He is indeed. Good day, everyone. Fantastic player, Rohit Sharma. Had a fantastic series. Showed us, people think he was just a one-day player, but I think he's proved to everyone in this series on some not so great pitches. He's played some beautiful innings.
Down the leg side from Bess. Folks gathers with minimum fuss down the leg side. And yeah, I mean, Rohit Sharma has, out of all of the batsmen on both sides, just seems to have perfect control of his balance, his footwork. His defence looks immaculate, and when he attacks, he invariably finds the boundary as Bess is in once more. Ball looping delivery, pitches on leg stump. Rohit just knocks it towards long on, and they go through for a single.
Well, my concern today, and I said it last night, was when Dom comes into the attack, if they can get through that first hour, I think they might just try and tuck into him. And that's not saying Dom Bess is not good enough. I mean, he's took wickets this series, but you're always looking, aren't you, for that chink, do you know what I mean, that in the armoury, and for him to get left out of that test match, there was obviously, and things that were said about it.
Bess is in, short, and Pant knocks it back with a point, and there's no run.
You've got to be thinking as an Indian team when you've been having the chats, listen, Dom Bess is coming in here, he got left out of the last game. If we get an opportunity and in the right position of the game, let's go at him. If he's down on confidence, let's just finish him off and take him out of the game early doors.
47 on his back, Bess around the wicket to Pant. It's a nicely pitched off break that Pant knocks in that rather pushy bottom-handed style of his to extra cover, and there's no run. I mean, I'm thinking that India probably in their meeting have said to themselves, look, there's no need for us to kind of go mad at this guy. He's going to bowl us a bad ball and over, perhaps. We can just milk him as long as we don't allow it, because Dom Bess is a streaky bowler. He gets himself on a bit of a run. He can take wickets, even with, you know, the average balls. So they probably said to themselves, look, we'll just milk this guy. We can bowl all day if we like. If he doesn't take a wicket, we'll go at 3.5s. And having said that, Pant charges down the wicket and slices the ball to Jimmy Anderson at extra. I think we can probably leave Rishabh Pant out of any of these discussions in terms of playing to a team plan. He pretty much does what he wants. But the rest of them, I think they're just happy to take whatever's on offer. And generally speaking, there's plenty on offer. End of the over, 101 for 4.
Well, unfortunate for him but he's now got some very good players to spin at the crease. We know Rohit Sharma plays spin really well. We know Rishabh Pant likes to attack the spinners, and we also know Ashwin, who's in next, likes to attack the spinners as well, and Washington Sundar. So you've got the best probably players of spin to come in for India.
Bess has bowled 15% of the overs, and he's gone for about 27% of the runs so far. They did play one big risky shot off him earlier, where Rohit Sharma was almost caught, but the rest has just been milking him, hasn't it? Waiting for those looser balls.
So it's 15% of the overs this innings, yeah?
Yeah, that's this innings, yeah.
Okay.
Let's not forget we've got Joe Root as well. We've got, you know what I mean? He got 5 for 8 the last game. We can talk about the pitch all we want, but he did get 5 for 8, so I won't mind a look at him at some point.
I'm sure he'll get his chance, because I'm not entirely sure how many more long spells 38-year-old James Anderson is going to be giving us in the heat of the day there in Ahmedabad, as he's back over the wicket to Rohit Sharma. 2 slips in the gully. Oh, Rohit with an absolute barn door of a front foot push to mid-off, and there's no run.
Pretty solid that one, Nick.
You don't like seeing that, do you, as a quick bowler?
The full face and middle of the bat. There you go, mate. Read that.
Yeah, Anderson.
Get the spinners on.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the point, isn't it? In conditions such as these, you need to be. The seam bowlers only need to get the ball in their hand when it's absolutely optimum for them to do so. As Anderson is in, towel tucked into his trousers, flapping behind him. Rohit on the back foot, off the bottom of the bat, really, has timed that one through the covers for another boundary. He goes to 47 now, and the crowd getting excited at the prospect of another half century for India's opener.
Well, you don't see that very often, dear, from Jimmy Anderson. A poor delivery, actually. Just trying, obviously, to get the ball up there. Just dragged it down a little bit. Lost his balance at the crease. And it was just an easy... I just had to get bat and ball there, Rohit Sharma. He had the width. Bat and ball, bottom of the bat. And it runs away, as it has done throughout India, you know. The outfields have been pretty quick. It's a good job they have with the pitches we played on. Or it have been 50, played 60.
Anderson in. He again aborts just before he gets to level with the umpire. Crowd doesn't like it again. Now Anderson is looking a little bit as, and please don't take this the wrong way, to you gentlemen of the paler skin, but he's got that look about him of an Englishman abroad in the heat, where he's starting to go a little bit pink in the face. Sweat is pouring off his forehead. I'm pretty sure this will be his last, unless somehow he can find something to dismiss Rohit Sharma. Rohit on the back foot again has punched that extra cover. Picture book back foot punch, brings him no run.
Yeah, I mean, it happens much when you're a fast bowler. I know I've seen on social media over the past 4 or 5 days, I've never seen as many pictures of you bowling as I have on Twitter.
There's
somebody put a picture of me next to you and said similar actions back in the day. Did you see that one?
Oh, no,
Did you see it?
Fortunately, I missed that. And, well, it's a great
side by side.
It's a great compliment to me, but not so much to you. As Anderson is in once more, turns the ball round, gets that one drifting in, and in his follow through, you can just tell that he's had enough. Jimmy Anderson, he's not somebody that's difficult to read. You wouldn't mind playing poker against James Anderson.
He's got 2 for 15 in Indian conditions. He's averaging about 11 or 12 for the winter. It's in 2021. There's nothing for Jimmy to worry about. I mean, he's just probably disappointed he's not making him play. He knows he's only got probably a 4-5 over spell, and he wants to make him play as much as he possibly can and try and get that breakthrough again for England.
Yeah, he runs his hand through that shock of dark hair on top of his head, having forced another defensive stroke out of Rohit Sharma. The lead is now 100. Been a topical number. If you were with us during the lunch break, it was good to get the thoughts of Messrs Batty, Goff and Nicholas on the impending new competition in English cricket. I'm sure that listeners have got their views. Don't at me if you do.
Or me.
And if you miss that, it will be on the podcast at the end of the day's players. Anderson is in, and Rohit once again with the straightest of bats defends the ball into the offside. That's the end of the 46th over. Anderson through 16 overs has 2 for 15, and India are 105 for 4. You are listening to live coverage of the second day of the fourth test between India and England on TalkSport 2 with the Times and the Sunday Times cricket team. Writing with an edge from Atherton and Sir Alistair Cook. Go on, Goffey.
No, just say, enjoy reading others' articles. He writes some very good pieces. You get sick of him winning these awards, though. Every time you go to an award ceremony, and the winner is Michael Atherton. Every single year.
He's making up for all those
good.
All those series he lost as England captain.
Exactly.
Pick up too many trophies back in those days, but no, he's a fabulous writer.
Absolutely.
And he's had plenty to get his teeth into during this series. He's defended the surfaces, actually. I've had a couple of very, very, very frank and spiky exchanges with him on direct message on Twitter.
He would
disagreements
have
at the pitches.
Yeah, but you're right. And when it comes down to it, the pitch, we're not asking for flatties.
Just for the ball not to go through the surface in the first over of the game, as Pant is down the pitch and turns that one into a full toss and just knocks it to mid-off and rotates the strike. I mean, this one's a belter. There's something in it for the quicks. The batters can play. Jack Leach has turned the odd one, as did Aksar and Ashwin yesterday. This is exactly what you would expect from a surface in India, really. I mean, again, you sort of keep mentioning the batting numbers for both teams. England's are horrific, Joe Root aside, but India's Rohit aside are not much better. And considering that they're at home, as Bess is in and Rohit plays a full stroke, the ball bounces on him and he rather pokes it uppishly. It would have landed in the hands of a schoolboy silly mid-on had there been one. And just a little bit of something happening there for Dom Bess.
What do you think others would have been saying as captain if he'd have been captain on this tour and the pitches were turning like that? He were complaining at 96 World Cup.
Bess in. And Rohit turns it off his pads to the man of the 45, and again there's no run. Well, I mean,
specialist captain batting at 7 at the World Cup. Others, that's what he did. 96, dropped his delve down the order, number 7. Someone who didn't start well against spin and batted at 7. No wonder we were rubbish.
He goes Tom Bess, twirling his right hand around the ball before placing the ball in it, and then delivering another full delivery, half volley in the end, that Rohit knocks to mid-on for a single. I mean, I suppose the interesting thing is that Athers as a captain in press conferences was famously miserable and spiky, wasn't he? They called him Captain Grumpy. And I'm guessing that if England had gone down in 2 days in Ahmedabad, that he wouldn't have been quite as sanguine as he's been in his pieces about the surfaces. Pant down the ground again. Just chipped out of his crease and caught that one again. On the toe of the bat, he got too close to it almost. And scampers through for a single. Pant's now 8 from 25. Rohit 48 from 135 deliveries. England have made him work. Mark Nicholas taking over at the end of the over. You on, Nico?
Well, I just wanted to say something. I don't know whether I'm keyed in or not, but
you are. I think I can hear you. Bess again, end of the over, just angling that one in, pitching sort of middle and leg and into the pads of Rohit, knocks it to into the leg side. There's no run, 108 for 4. Well, you might as well take over now. It's your turn.
But you could ask Athers about Trinidad in '94.
All out 45.
Yeah, you could ask about the game that was abandoned because of a bad pitch in Jamaica.
I faced one ball in that one.
Exactly.
That was my first ball of the entire tour.
You lasted one ball.
Been there a month. Hadn't even had a net.
The odd thing about Hafiz's career is how little he played in India. Just that one tour.
93,
and he was
wasn't
ill
it?
for a part of it. Yeah, 93.
Yeah. Oh well, that's me done anyway. You can carry on with Goffey.
I'll just finish on the batting. A friend of mine texted me just now in light of your conversation, and it says, here's a question: taking Root out of the equation, can we honestly say that anyone else has been up to test standard with the bat in the 6 tests on tour so far?
Rohit.
No, England batsman.
Well, Ben Stokes has chipped in, hasn't he? A couple of scores. Dom Sibley got 70, or was it, or 90 in Sri Lanka? He got a 70, 80 in the first test. It's not been good enough, really. Not been good enough.
Well, interesting question. Probably not is the answer. Consistently through the 6 matches, I wouldn't say anybody other than Root has shown. I mean, obviously Ben Stokes has played a couple of innings, but
Yeah. We've relied on Joe Root.
Anderson bowls a length ball, quite a full length ball actually, at off stump, and Rishabh Pant, who is restraining himself somehow. Imagine how hard that must be for Rishabh Pant. Plays forward and defends a ball that on another day was full enough for him to slap down the ground. I mean, where he'd try to hit that in a one-day game, I can only begin to imagine, but a long way for sure.
Well, I don't have long to wait. It'll be next week. He'll be propelling the blade. There's no doubt. But I think both teams, Butch got it right, both teams have struggled.
Absolutely, and that's the key point, is again there's a forward defensive stroke, this time to a slightly wider ball, goes out to square cover, there's no run from it.
You talk about the talent of India: Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, Pant, Sundar, Ashwin, and the batting lineup. It's the tail end. Ashwin got a fine 100, absolutely unbelievable 100, by the way, on those conditions. Had a few let-offs on that way, but it's still a fantastic innings. But Rahane, Kohli, Pujara and Gill have all struggled with a bat for India, and that's a fantastic batting lineup, all average over 40.
Yeah, Anderson, that's a little wider, and it's a one-handed drive by Rishabh Pant, and it'll go for 4. He reached and he timed, which tells you his talent, because as I say, a hand had to come off the bat to do it.
Oh, absolutely talented cricketer, isn't he? I mean, he's really impressed me behind the stumps. People were saying he's not that good a keeper, but I think he's been fantastic here, and this shows the talent of him. Jimmy Anderson, ball it out there wide. He's hit one hand, half a bat, timed it to pieces with one hand and half a bat. That's not a bad start, is it?
No, and it particularly is what Anderson's doing there, is aiming for the rough to see if the ball can misbehave, either swing or bounce unevenly from the rough and therefore cause a fault in the stroke, but a pure stroke indeed. Still 2 slips in the gully, 3 in the cover ring. Anderson again, and this time wisely, a similar line but not quite so full, is left alone by Rishabh.
Clever from Jimmy Anderson this. You can see exactly what he's trying to do with Pant. He's got the slips in place. He's got a man there who's catching in that cover area in case it's aerial. We know he's so talented, whether it's be the wobble seam, whether it's be the leg cutter. He knows Rishabh Pant wants to hit the ball if he gets any width on it whatsoever, and if he just doesn't get to the pitch of it and it stops and dusts off this pitch, it could go aerial towards those fielders in the cover area.
Anderson again, and that's worked off a very straight line, almost as full as his toes, by Rishabh Pant to mid-wicket for no run. I tell you, England need a wicket here. I know that's an obvious comment when you've only got 93 runs to play with, but they need a wicket here.
Well, the thing is, normally, Mark, with England batting first and India have to bat last, you would normally say, but listen, if India get a 50-60 lead, it's not so bad. But because of the way we're playing against spin, it's almost like an 150 lead.
Now that's over pitched by Anderson, but pushed to mid-off and not timed by Rishabh Pant, who shut the face on it a bit.
Yeah, do you know where I'm coming from? So normally you would say,
Yeah.
oh, if they go past us here by 30 or 40, we're still in the box seat. But with India, they are so good, their spinners, and we have played the spin so badly. It's almost like double that, isn't it?
Yes,
Treble
yeah, that's
that.
right.
And that's the problem we're having.
Well, the spinners are good enough to close the game down, because they not only take wickets, but they restrict you scoring. They really offer you nothing, so it is hard. And of course the new ball bowlers don't give you anything either, so it would certainly, I mean, you would think that a deficit of anything more than 50 would be unmanageable. 112 for 4 at the end of that over. Pant unbeaten with 12, Rohit with 48. As London wakes up, I must tell you, from this great view here on the 17th floor of the News UK building, alongside the Shard, and down beneath us Borough Market, which will soon bustle away, a surprising amount of people in that fabulous food market. By the middle of the day, you have to wear a mask, of course, as soon as you enter it, and you're not allowed to eat food inside the market. You have to leave the market to eat anything you buy. But it's a great view across the City of London. To our left, away to our left, St Paul's, and then down to our right, Canary Wharf, and right in the middle, some of the big institutional banks and Lloyds and other insurance businesses. But it's a great sight, particularly as this morning it's a blue sky and we've got some sunshine. Joe Root going to bowl some off breaks. Here he comes, and he's straight on the mark. Lovely looping off break. He didn't fire that one into the pitch. Good decision, I think, of Root to bowl.
Absolutely, full of confidence. 5 for 8 against India, that last Test match. Got to give himself, got to have a look. Couple of overs, 2 or 3, just break it up.
Well, at least here he is again now. And again, another good ball down the pitch comes Rohit. He gets 1 for that. Will he get 2? If he does, no, it's just a single. Takes him to 49. I think that Root built up Best before the game, saying that he wasn't in Best class, and Best had more variety, more skill, and it was a nonsense to even compare them, because he had to, for Dom Best's sake. He had to build him up. But the truth is, Root's pretty canny. Knows what he's about, doesn't have Best's understandable insecurity, and therefore should bowl more often than not. Here he is again. Ooh, a reverse sweep of enormous power from Rishabh Pant, and a great stop. Zach Crawley throws himself round the boundary at what is actually backward sort of point, well, third man boundary, I suppose, but a powerful reverse sweep by Pant from a long way outside his leg stump.
Reverse slog, wasn't it? I mean, it premeditated, obviously, and then the line was slightly wider, but he's still got great control and great hands, and he kept his head still. That's the most important thing when you watch a shot like that. Yeah,
doubly brilliant, because I think Root saw him repositioning to play it and bowled it wider of leg stump, and he was still able to hit it so well. 115 for 4, Pant now on 14. And Root bowls him a good ball, a little flatter, a little bit more directly into the pitch. It doesn't spin, and it's defended comfortably to extra cover. This is such a dangerous player. This is the Adam Gilchrist, Matt Pryor type effect. Quinton de Kock, as down he comes now, and he hits it high and long and for 6. Well, Rishabh Pant at his very best.
Yeah, this is where it's really, really dangerous. When someone like Rishabh Pant comes to the crease, we know he likes to run at the spinners, and when he comes down, it's normally to hit for the maximum. And there it was. He came down to Joe Root. Absolutely great bat action, straight through the line of the ball, and it clears the boundary at long off. Absolutely got right to the pitch, bottom of the bat as well. It shows you the difference in bats these days as well, Mark. He only got half a bat in that again, but still the power and the timing for it to sail over the boundary for 6.
And now a defensive stroke from Pant, so good over that for India. 121 for 4. Been a fascinating day's cricket. England fought very hard this morning, picked up 3 important wickets. Well, obviously they're important, aren't they? Pujara, Kohli and Rahane, but also in the situation of the match they were important, because they redressed the balance, the overnight balance that was so heavily in India's favour. Now this little partnership, well, it's handy, and I'm not saying that it's taking the game away from England, but it threatens to be able to do so.
Do you think India reassessed as well at lunchtime? I think they let England bowl at them this morning. England bowled beautifully, there's no doubt about that whatsoever, but India were almost looking just to get past that first hour, and he just kept going on with Ben Stokes bowling that long spell, getting better and better. And now I think since obviously the break, they've come out and thought, you know something, we can't just hang around here, we've got to get on and start scoring runs.
Well, Goffey, again, I think you've nailed it. I think this morning, it wasn't India's batting wasn't because of fear, but it was because of, oddly, taking the sensible option. Occupy the crease, wear England down, the spinners will make mistakes, we'll get balls to score on, it'll get us ahead of the game eventually. But you're right, it wasn't working. England bowled better than they thought. It's only in this partnership, now worth 41 by the way from 67 balls, only in this partnership that they've looked to take the initiative. It's a good ball on a length from Stokes, defended to gully off the face of the bat from Rohit Sharma. In cricket, almost invariably, if you take the more aggressive of the two options, even if it's in defence, you'll come out on top. So you come down the wicket to defend against a spinner, get nearer the pitch of the ball, that'll probably work better for you than being stuck in the crease, for example. But if you look to counter-attack and you've got the ability to do it, it's a great way to go.
Absolutely. And I think they're probably thinking too far ahead as well. That chat this morning I would have talked about, where they said, listen, we have a good day today and we're in the Test Championship final. And I honestly believe that first hour they thought, let's get past Jimmy Anderson and possibly Ben Stokes, that first half an hour, and we can cash in against the spin. And it just didn't happen, did it? They had a little spell of 5, 10, 15 minutes where they got on top of the bowlers. But other than that,
it's a little wider and fuller from Stokes. A bit of a little carrot. Quite a good ball that to Rohit Sharma. And it just swung a bit, just a bit, and Rohit lifted and then just defended. And the beauty of that was that Rohit was in a position to drive it and chose to defend it, and he pushed it, and there was no run to extra cover. But the lovely setup, Rohit gets into such good positions, and he's so balanced.
Absolutely top player. I mean, you look at this, he's 49 not out of 140 deliveries. Normally when Rohit Sharma faces 140 deliveries, he'd be on about 80 or 90 now, wouldn't he? So that shows how difficult it's been for the guys and how watchful he's been against Anderson and Stokes.
Just thinking the amount of players you bowl to who and we'll just wait for Stokes again, crowd roaring him on. It occurred to me, it's back of a length and defended by Rohit Sharma, no run from it. Stokes picks it up, brushes his hair back, throws it to mid-on to do the shining. Stokes reorganises his shoe. In fact, he's now taken his shoe off. So either he's just doing the formation of the laces. No, he's checking inside it for a stone or something. He's clearing it out, pushing the sole further back down the shoe, the inner sole, is that right?
He's just taking his wallet out, put it in his shoe. He's a northerner, mate.
Well, they've got orange stripes on them, 3 of them, so that tells you the maker.
Well, he does struggle though with that left foot, doesn't he? His left knee and his left toe. He always gets sore toes, old Ben.
Yeah, well,
he never bowls enough for him to get used to it.
Well, he puts so much in his delivery stride. There's goodness knows the impact going through that delivery stride. Puts a lot into it. Here he comes again. And again, a defensive stroke on the front foot from Rohit Sharma. It's a good contest this. There's no doubt that Stokes picks it up when he bowls to the top players, as he did when he got to Virat Kohli earlier today with a terrific short ball that zipped across his chest, and he nicked it through to Ben Stokes. Really surprised him, the extra bounce and pace. Great contest this at the moment, with Stokes striving to break this partnership that is developing nicely for India after a morning where England held most of the cards. Here's Stokes again, and he just tries to work that a bit too square leg side actually, and gets a leading edge out onto the offside, a bit cross with himself, a little tap of the bat on his hand. But he's normally, his equilibrium when he's at the wicket's pretty good, and he stays calm. He doesn't look like, he's a great brain for cricket, you know. He's an excellent captain of Mumbai Indians in the IPL, and often considered as a good lieutenant by a lot of captains. Rohit Sharma sees cricket very clearly.
Fantastic talent. I've always been a big fan of him, and there was that doubt, wasn't there, when he came into the Test side, whether he could do the business. But I think over the past couple of seasons he's been outstanding for India. I really enjoy watching him bat, whether it be in T20s where he 50 over, and now on the Test arena he plays some magnificent shots.
He waits for Stokes. Oh, he barred on it with a beautiful in-swinger. He's LBW. That is some delivery. Absolute crackerjack. If Waka Yunis at his best had bowled that ball, he'd have been proud of it. A late hooping inducker that has done for Rohit Sharma, though he is reviewing it.
I'll tell you what, he bowled that ball so well. It's something he's improved over the past 12 months. His in-swinger, he bowls slightly more open-chested. He uses that wrist really well, and he gets that late swing into Rohit Sharma. It's a difficult one to call, but it did hit him quite high up. But what a delivery from Ben Stokes. Superb delivery.
Oh, I'm worried about the height. I think it's going to be umpire's call on line, so it's been given out, so that'll be okay.
Stand by.
Just height. Might be skipping over.
Stand by. Ball tracking coming. Stand by. Pitching outside.
Oh, it's out there.
Impact umpire's call.
Look at that. Clipping the bail.
Wait. Here we go. Listen to this.
Stay with the signal.
Stay with the original signal. So that is out because Nitish Menon gave it out. The tightest of calls. Clipping the bails. They've got Rohit Sharma. What a relief for England.
Huge wicket for England. Ben Stokes back into the attack. England's second seamer here. The in-swinger. And he's bowled it really well today, he has, Ben Stokes. Terrific skill, fantastic bowler. 121 for 5 now, India. Just as they look like they were getting on top, as they were getting a partnership together. But it brings in another good player to the crease. And Ashwin's here.
But what a delivery. I mean, just celebrate the delivery. That is masterful fast bowling from Ben Stokes. Yep, he got a bit lucky, I suppose, that the original decision was out. But never mind, he's earned it. The ball was hitting the stumps. That's what we're told by the technology, and that's what we live by in the modern era of the game. A very big wicket after a lovely cruisy 49 from Rohit Sharma. You're listening to a commentary of the 4th Test, England and India over in Ahmedabad on TalkSport 2 with the Times and the Sunday Times. Try it free for 1 month at thetimes.co.uk/cricket. Offer. Subscription automatically renews unless cancelled. Terms and conditions apply as stretches are done by R. Ashwin joining Rishabh Pant out there. This game is alive and kicking. Over to Neil Manthorpe.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. That was just a single delivery that will live long in the memory. I think you see the ball move that much through the air, reverse swing. It's extremely impressive, and I know that I've been banging on about this, but all credit to the fielders for doing what they're doing to the ball. And I mean, that's not in any way to imply that there's anything mischievous going on, because the umpires inspect the ball all the time, and there's over 30 cameras at the ground. If you try and do anything, you can't even apply a bit of saliva to the ball, obviously, but whatever England are doing, they know exactly what they are doing, and they are doing it brilliantly. Gareth Batty.
Yeah, look, let's name the man. It's going to Dan Lawrence, and he's doing a fantastic job. All he's doing, he's pulling his shirt out of his trousers and he's buffing the ball. So he's just trying to keep the side smooth, really, and obviously because of the buffing you get a nice sort of glaze to one side of the ball, and the other side's roughing up beautifully on the sort of rough surfaces that are in and around the wicket they're playing on.
What about the dryness? That's I mean, as I was saying to Steve Humson a little earlier, there's a kind of secrecy about it. Each team has their own pet theory, but there is obviously a general principle, but keeping it dry, keeping it out of the pores of the sweaty fielders is really important, isn't it?
Yeah, you'd work out how the sweaty men were in your first few training sessions. I know it was Alistair Cook back in the day. They said, he was Iceman, he never even sweat. Sweat wouldn't even drop off his brow in a 6-hour stay of execution at the wicket. So I would assume that Dan Lawrence is very similar in that manner. He doesn't sweat quite as much as some of the other guys. So they try and get the ball straight to him so it goes through less hands. And then he's literally stood at mid-on, mid-off more often than not. Takes the ball from maybe second, third slip or wherever it comes. Gives it one heck of a buff. And make no mistake, it's hard work because you never really switch off because you're getting the ball the whole time. And you throw it to the big lads and James Anderson and Ben Stokes really have done him proud and the team proud this morning. They've bowled beautifully in twofold. One, they've held the game. They've gone for no runs whatsoever, so they've kept it dry. And then that old adage, if the scoreboard is going nowhere and you bowl the good ball and take the wicket like we've just seen, you're in one heck of a position. And England have really, they've not just sort of opened the door, they have kicked the door in through brilliant hard work this morning. 121 for 5. Who would have thought it getting up this morning?
I've got a question for you while the players finish off the drinks break. And so it occurred to me, and this is not in retrospect, not with the benefit of hindsight, because it occurred to me at the time, when Jimmy Anderson was bowling all those maidens, he bowled 5 at the start of the Indian innings yesterday evening, and he was bowling dot balls and bowling more maidens this morning in his first spell. And we thought, well, is he not wasting the new ball? But it occurred to me that all that time that he was bowling dot balls and bowling maidens, the Indian innings was going nowhere. Dan Lawrence was doing his work, and they were building towards reverse swing. No runs conceded.
Yeah, and you do hear it that sometimes in the subcontinent the best time to bat is against the new ball. Yes, it's dangerous and the ball might fly to slip, but it's easier to score. The ball pings off the bat and it runs on the outfield. So England may have recognised that. That might be a plan for England to say we're not going to challenge the stumps as much as often with the new ball, because we want to hold the scoring rate, and we'll still be able to take wickets throughout the innings with reverse swing.
Well, India are 84 runs behind, 121 for 5. Here's Joe Root continuing. Forward comes Rishabh Pant, plays it away defensively on the onside. This is going to be a absolutely mouth-watering prospect, watching Rishabh Pant have his temperament and his reading of the game tested here. He's in the early stages of his career. Root in again. Forward comes Pant, opens the face of the bat, runs down, a quick single to backward point. He was slow setting off. He was called for the single by R. Ashwin, and Pant was just hesitating. But Pant's got to read the game here and really play the percentages. I know that he's a counter-attacking batsman and he's aggressive, and he likes to take the game forward, and we heard earlier Akash Chopra saying that he should be encouraged to do that and that he shouldn't try to change his game. I wasn't ever suggesting that anybody said to him, don't play your natural game, play this way, play that way. But what would be interesting is if his cricketing sense directed him towards playing a more cautious, less risky game because of the situation. It'll be really interesting to see whether his instincts take over or his reading of the game. Anyway, Joe Root's got the ball in his hands. He's a different bowler now. Just the numbers. I mean, you look at an off spinner with an average of 47, which Joe Root had before the last test. It's pushed away behind square on the offside very nicely by R. Ashwin. Guided, actually, just allowed the ball to slide off an open face bat down towards third man boundary, and then suddenly his average goes from 47 to 40, and you go, oh.
I think just the performance of a 5 for 8 in the previous game would do wonders for somebody's confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I've said for years that Joe Root clearly takes his bowling very seriously. I don't think he thought that in his most optimistic moments that he had a 5 for 8 in him, but anyway, he started off very tidily, doing a good job. 124 for 5 India as Ashwin comes forward and pushes this one straight back to Joe Root, does his own fielding. So James Anderson, 17 overs, 11 maidens, 2 for 19. And here's Root once again. Forward comes Ashwin, bat and pad actually together on this occasion, not playing in front of that front pad. And Ben Stokes, no less impressive, 13 overs, 6 maidens, 2 for 20. Of those 13 maidens, of those 13 overs from Ben Stokes, 11 were bowled in succession in the morning session. As Root is in now, that one turns quite sharply and is guided with the spin by Ashwin round the corner to short fine leg. Hello, Jared.
Just want to talk about Joe Root, his brilliance at bringing himself on again when there was a left-hander for him to be able to bowl to. That's just great captaincy, knowing your own bowling so well. But also, they're going to want to bowl Jack Leach to R. Ashwin. that's going to be the matchup that they're going to be looking to do, especially if they can't get another wicket with the seam. It'd be very interesting to see what they do with Rishabh Pant and Jack Leach, because Jack Leach has bowled very, very well in this series. I think far better than even his numbers have shown. But we know that Pant is the big question mark for him, especially on a wicket where there's no real assistance and there's no real foot marks yet, I think, for him to bowl to. So it'd be very interesting to see how long they wait into this partnership, if they can't break it, before bringing Jack Leach on.
I imagine, Gareth Batty, and this is a question, but I imagine that Jack Leach would love to bowl to Rishabh Pant with the scoreboard reading 124 for 5.
Yeah, it's certainly a better time than 250 for 3 or 4 or whatever it would be, wouldn't it, if he's batting at 6? Yeah, and I think to an extent that's why Roots brought himself on now with Rishabh Pant, because he was very clever in previous test matches in this series to bowl very wide of the stumps, to hit the rough, to get it outside his eye line.
Ben Stokes around the wicket to Rishabh Pant, and that one was clipped very nicely indeed out to Jimmy Anderson at wide mid-on. They scramble through for a single, 125 for 5.
So what I mean is Rishabh Pant's been incredibly successful at hitting spin when it's been down the tram lines. Root actually in previous test matches has thrown it very wide of his eye line, saying, well, come on, you're going to have to fetch me from a long way outside of stump, and obviously the ball's turning away. So that will be at the back of Rishabh Pant's mind. Plus 5 for 8 speaks for itself. Why shouldn't you be bowling?
No reason that I can think of. In fact, I'm quite surprised that it's taken him this long to bring himself on.
I think that's a measure of the man and how good a captain he is. I think he's that empathy sort of driven captain. He knows that
he waited for a left-hander. What are you two talking about?
No.
No,
he's giving Dom Best the best opportunity to get into the game, and you won't sway me with any numbers, any stats, anything.
He always waits for a left-hander. He did it in the last match as well.
Well, I think he would have given himself a couple of overs earlier. Here's Ben Stokes. Oh, that one just seemed to stop in the pitch a little bit, and Ashwin was looking to turn it on the onside, and it just didn't arrive at the time he thought that it was going to, and it popped up off a leading edge.
Yeah, Ben Stokes, as he's walking back, was sort of looking at the footholes. You wonder if his foot got stuck and it didn't quite come out, so his release position was affected by a foothole, which obviously then the ball maybe came out with less pace or something different on its arrival at Ashwin, and it just stopped him in his shot. It was a curious sort of movement from him.
It just seemed to grip a bit, didn't it? That was gone down the leg side, and he might just have been looking to swing that one away from R. Ashwin, bring the slip cordon into play, but it just went straight on and straight past the leg stump and into the gloves of Ben Foakes. India 125 for 5, trailing by 80. There may well have been some people that foresaw this situation or a scenario similar to this yesterday, but I didn't speak or hear of any of them. There was quite a bit of doom and gloom around, and I must say that if there was a bit of pessimism around, it wasn't in any way calmed by Stokes himself, who admitted that England had batted really poorly. That's a low full toss outside the off stump, and it's punched away for 4. Once again, I don't know what Ben Stokes was trying to do, but he was clearly bowling a particular delivery, and it's gone wrong, and he just shakes his head now, and again just illustrates that his wrist didn't get it quite. I don't know, what was he trying to do? It's a wide full toss, it's gone for 4.
Yeah, it's very rogue in how he's gone about his business today. He's been magnificent. But pre that ball, it's about the 3rd time in as many overs that he's taken his boot off the shoe. Is he having some kind of a problem with his footwear, with the footholes? And if that's at the back of your mind as a bowler, you're not on a stable footing, sometimes it can affect your sort of rhythm and how you get through your action. So it might be something with his footwear or the footholes, possibly.
Here's Ben Stokes again, 129 for 5 now, and that one's much better, full and wide enough to be left alone by R. Ashwin, who's 6 not out from 8 deliveries. We've heard Goffey talk on various occasions about how many problems Ben Stokes has with his feet and his toes, and sometimes you get what runners call the the mythical stone. Sometimes there's a something's upsetting you, something's sore, and you're convinced there's a stone in your shoe, and you take it off and you look for it, and you put it back on, and it's still there.
He's looking for it now. That's the 4th time. It's off again. It's every ball. The shoe's off.
And you start taking the inner sole out and banging it on the ground. I know there's a stone in here, and there isn't. Here is Stokes once again. Good bouncer, really good bouncer. Ashwin didn't know a great deal about that. There's no short leg in. It might not have carried to him if there had been, but he just fended it off. He took his eye off it as well. That could have gone absolutely anywhere. The boot's off again. He's still looking for that stone. His feet are obviously sore.
Yeah, the outcome of that delivery, though, the final delivery of the over, right what he's after. Ben Stokes gets that ball short in towards the body, right into that throat region. Ashwin standing up tall. He's a tall man, trying to ride the bounce, but couldn't get his hands high enough to use the blade of the bat, and it wraps him on his bottom hand, his right hand. Now that's his spinning finger, that generally your index finger is where you get hit on that right hand. And as the physio rushes out now, we see him looking at the nail and getting a bit of that magic spray. Not only the magic stone in Stokes, he's got a bit of magic spray for his finger. It's all magic out there. But let's hope there's nothing.
We talk about the hidden contributions towards a victory, and there's Dan Lawrence. I mean, it's not hidden, but it's often not talked about. I've tried to bring it to the fore. So his contribution. And if Ben Stokes can't take another wicket, if he's put R. Ashwin's spinning finger out of action...
It's all smoke and mirrors here.
Well, what about India's physiotherapist, Nitin Patel, I believe his name is, although it didn't look like that was him that just came out on the field, who I think has spent more time out on the field in India's last 2 series than most of their batters have. I mean, he should have a cap by this point. He's been out there over and over. I don't know how he has any magic spray left. I think the magic's gone, Bats.
All the hidden contributions that go towards a test match performance and a victory. You're listening to commentary on the 4th test between England and India on TalkSport 2 with the Times and the Sunday Times cricket team led by Lizzie Hammond and former captains Mike Atherton and Sir Alistair Cook. And our gratitude to the Times and the Sunday Times for supporting our commentary. Jack Leach, it's Jack Leach time, Bats. He's into the attack.
Yeah, Gerard called it. He wanted him in here. He wanted this matchup. Well, he wanted Ashwin first, but it's going to be Pant, I think. Did they sneak a single? I think it might be Ashwin first up that'll be facing. And but the mouth-watering from an explosive point of view is the other one, Pant. How is Pant going to play Jack Leach now? What is he going to look to do? It's been a fascinating battle throughout the series. Leach has had his wins, but he's had his losses with Pant, and it's... just as the game is poised perfectly, 130 for 5. What do you do? Do you spin the wheel, or what do you do?
Don't know. Answer your own question. I'm dying to hear your theory.
I'm spinning the wheel. I'm going all in on red. If I'm Pant, I'm going hard here. I'm saying this is the breaking point, and I'm going to be the man to really put some pressure back.
And Root, does he put men on the boundary?
Yeah, has to. Yeah. I think it's get as many catches in as you can, stick everybody out on the boundary.
In outfield?
Yeah, if he gets a single, so what? Don't care. The scoreboard's going nowhere. If he starts banging a few out of the ground, whoa. Pant's thinking, hang on a minute, we're making a bit of a dent in that deficit at the minute. But from a Leach point of view, keep the catches. I bowl a goodie, I'm getting him out.
Root's got a couple of men in what we used to be told as schoolboys was no man's land. Johnny Bairstow's halfway back, maybe 2/3 of the way back at mid-on. So that's an invitation, isn't it? Yeah,
and it's trying to open up that onside play with the ball spinning away from the bat.
Leach in to Ashwin, forward he comes, playing defensively. You sense this is a big moment, don't you? Big moment in this test match, right now, this next half hour?
Yeah, you feel that way. And the field is set accordingly. Even Joe Root's tempting Ashwin. He's saying, come on then. If you think you're a good player at hitting mid-on, let's have a see.
Delicious tension in the air. Leach in again, quicker one actually, and Ashwin seems to be hurried. And it's not often you say that about Jack Leach, but Ashwin was suddenly maybe kept a bit low too. It made him look even more rushed. He went deep into his crease and it just skidded straight on.
Yeah, a bit more square spin, so it travels a bit further. So he misread the length there, Ashwin.
Here is Leach once more, and this time it turns from middle towards off, and he's back and across, playing it off the pitch. Rishabh Pant 22, R. Ashwin has 7. India 130 for 5. Still 75 runs behind England's total of 205, which is looking more and more, or less and less unimpressive. That's not a double negative. Here is Leach once again, and it's pushed out square of the wicket on the offside. It was inadequate. It was under par. Ben Stokes was the first to admit it yesterday. He was quite down in the face speaking. He said we should still be batting. He said we are perfectly capable of scoring 300 on a wicket like that, and we should have done. So he admitted that England were under par, but they're fighting back. Here's Leach again, and Ashwin tries a late cut, a back cut, and misses it. A wee bit of extra bounce there from Jack Leach, and nicely taken by Ben Foakes.
Yeah, he's just driving the ball into the surface a little bit more, Jack Leach here. A bit more direct in his approach and his trajectory. That one just bouncing a fraction more off the surface. As we've seen on this pitch, it's bounced a little bit.
Here is Jack Leach again, and it's forward comes Ashwin playing defensively, and Jack Leach completes a maiden over. More often than not, the ball looks like it comes up out of Jack Leach's hand. In that over, it seemed like it was going more straight out and forward.
Yeah, and I've not been able to see the seam position for every ball, but certainly for a couple of balls he's trying to get that more square spin, and with square spin generally it travels a bit flatter in trajectory and travels a bit more direct, because it's got sort of the spiral, as opposed to his stock ball, which I would suggest is more of an overspinning ball. It does come out of the hand because it needs to go up a little bit to then drop. The overspin on the ball makes the ball curve and drop in that last sort of 3 metres as it arrives where it bounces, and then obviously you get the spin. Both you're trying to spin it, but it's just how it arrives into the area on the surface that it pitches.
Mark Butcher will take over commentary now as Ben Stokes continues. I must say it's a wonderful point of the Test match.
Certainly is. Rishabh Pant, who is a man always eager to pounce on a run-scoring opportunity, has a go at that short ball from Ben Stokes, and was a man back on the fence at deep backward square. Came off the bottom edge of the bat and rolled all the way along the ground to him. Pant picks up the single that takes him to 23. India 74 runs behind now, score 131 for 5. He has Ravichandran Ashwin for company. Century maker in the series, one of only 3. Root, Rohit and Ashwin. He has 7 from 5 deliveries, 2 slips in the gully. Stokes in, and that short ball has flicked the glove of Ashwin. Ashwin immediately reviews as if to say, well, it's hit me on the shoulder, I've not got anything on that at all. It was an immediate reaction from Ashwin.
Fair delivery.
Umpire's decision is out. Let's have a listen.
Yeah, give your best angle, please.
Yellow, white, yellow.
Front on coming, stand by. Ball is very close to the bat. Give me alternate to double check. Yes, please.
Well, the crowd is roaring because it looks to me as though that ball has missed the glove and hit the shoulder. Did seem that the bounce was very steep from Ben Stokes, and Ashwin's hands were late getting up.
Keep going.
Ultra edge is, well, it's not moving, unmoved as the ball goes past the outside edge, and then there's a spike.
Just do
A
it one more
soft,
time.
it's not really a spike, it's more of a bump. A soft looking bump as the ball hits Ashwin on his right shoulder. And
Keep going.
that decision will be reversed. I'm pretty sure of that, Gareth Batty.
Yeah, the new boots not taking the wicket
Go to the
if we're going by
outfield
ultra edge, but as you say, arriving with a bump, and there's a bump on Ravi Ashwin's right shoulder now to go with a bump on his right index finger. We're not getting it out, but we might be making his bowling harder work in the second innings.
Nitin Menon just signalling that's 1 for the over from Ben Stokes. He's had to reverse his original decision of out. You can understand why the umpire was fooled into thinking that had made contact with the glove. The sound of Ashwin's shoulder and the gloves would have been similar. As Ashwin faces up to Stokes again, who edges. Ashwin edges over the head of the man at gully. Don't think it was a chance. It flew above head height. There was a dive from the man at gully. I can't tell you who that is at this moment in time. The television replay is on the crowd. But Ashwin, who has been unsettled by the short ball, both in Australia and in this series, flinging his hands at that wide delivery from Ben Stokes. And perhaps it was at catchable height. It just went so quickly. I think it's Zach Crawley there at Gully. By the time that Crawley had got off the ground and got his hand up, the ball was already a metre past him.
Beautiful follow-up ball from Stokes, hitting hard length just outside his eye line.
Stokes building up a head of steam here. Ashwin, who has a bad back, it's given him problems against the short ball. We'll be expecting more of it from Ben Stokes. But this is a crucial juncture in the match. It really is. Rishabh Pant waiting to resume hostilities with Jack Leach at the other end. England again with only the 2 seam bowlers to call upon. Have a bit of reverse swing going as Ashwin faces up to Stokes again. Stokes wider on the crease this time, back of a length. Ashwin in behind it, off the back foot, knocks it to Rory Burns, who's on as a substitute at cover, and there is no run.
Still a little bit of a grimace there from Ben Stokes as he's walking back. I wonder if he's still having those issues. He maybe thought it was the change of boots that would work. Almost did at the start of the over, but just a little grimace. So is it the footholds maybe that's affecting him, or is it the workload? He's had one heck of a workload so far in the 2 sessions today.
Yeah, bowled a 12 over spell in the first session. Brought him the wicket of Virat Kohli for a duck. He's got Kohli out 5 times now in Test match cricket. Ben Stokes, the most that he's got any single batsman out in his career so far. Man has gone back on the hook. Stokes to Ashwin. Ashwin will probably be expecting a short ball, whether he was up or back, but he's back now. Pitched up on just outside the off stump, and the ball dies on the way through to Ben Foakes, and that is the end of the 54th over. An eventful one. I've actually given up trying to speculate whether or not Ben Stokes is struggling, because if you remember back to Cape Town, the beginning of 2020, before the world went to hell in a handcart, and Stokes bowled that magnificent spell, gut-busting spell from the Weinberg end that brought England victory in the dying throes of that match at Cape Town. And every over you'd say, well, he can't bowl another one, surely. He's limping, look at him, he looks terrible. And then he'd bowl another one, and another one, and another one.
It was the old adage, beware the wounded dog, wasn't it? He just kept going, and he kept taking wickets. It was you could imagine the batters in the middle of the over saying, don't worry, that's his last one, he can't come back. They were doing that for about 3 hours. He just kept coming back. It was phenomenal. We know he's got one heck of an engine and a heart in him. And England need him here. They really are at the point of kicking this door down in the game and really getting into a position of strength.
Well, at least not being in a position of weakness. I mean, you know, even if the lead is 30, they've got to come out and bat against Axar and Ashwin. I mean, Axar has 22 wickets at 10 in the 3 matches he's played so far. Ashwin 27 wickets at 15. So I mean, you know, obviously any lead that England can get, brilliant. But they're still up against it, you would think.
Yeah, we need to stop talking about superhuman effort. There are some mere mortals on the field as well.
There are indeed. Right, here is a contest for the ages. In terms of this series anyway, which I suppose is not an age, although some might think that the win for England in the first test in Chennai was an age ago, as it's Leach versus Pant. Pant is down the wicket. There's a puff of dust as the ball lands in the footmarks. It spins past the inside of Pant's bat, hits the pads, goes out on the offside. They scamper through for a single. There's now an overthrow, and they come back for 2-leg byes.
Jack Leach won't particularly like that. But from a viewer, I'm excited about it now. Pant's shown his intent. First ball, he's ran down the wicket, trying to get to the pitch of the ball, take the rough out of the equation.
He missed it by miles, didn't he? The ball spun sharply out of the rough. Ben Stokes picked up and threw at Ashwin's end on the turn, and he went all the way out to Johnny Bairstow on the sweep for a second run. Pant with the sweep. It's bottom edge to Joe Root on the 45. On the leg side, and there's no run. But Pant, well, his intentions are pretty clear. He wants to take down Jack Leach. It's going to be one or the other of these 2 men, you'd think. 40 balls, 73 runs, 1 dismissal. That's the numbers of Leach versus Pant. Oh, big turn, huge turn out of the rough for Jack Leach. Pant on the back foot rather sort of gives up the ghost. It crashes into his gloves, I think hits him on the thigh pad, and then bounces out just agonisingly wide of Ben Folkes on the offside.
Oh, this is brilliant from Leach. He's not throwing it up and underneath the bat, he's driving it into the surface, making it very difficult for Pant. What a contest.
Leach in again, that's a little bit straighter, perhaps too straight, and the ball missing the rough areas, hitting the good part of the pitch, and Pant is able to steer it to the right of route on the 45 and pick up a single. Ashwin on strike. Pant 24 from 43. India 138 for 5. Lead is 67 now. Difficult, isn't it, for the bowler to consistently jam the ball into that rough area, but he does have quite a big margin to aim at outside the left-hander's off stump. He's now got the right-handed Ashwin in his sights. Just Stokes at slip catching. And Ashwin uses his reach to good effect, gets forward, and even though the ball turned and bounced a little, was able to smother the spin and knock it down into the point region for no run. Field is it's not over-committed from England. Short mid-wicket, short extra cover. Man back on the sweep leg side and offside as Ashwin is on the back foot, drops it down at his feet, and that is the end of the 55th, 138 for 5.
Yeah, fascinating battle. Leach Pant is the one for me. Can Leach be really brave and do what he's doing, hold the ball at the top of the stumps hard, but then every now and again chuck it really wide? It's got to be wide outside Rishabh Pant's eye line to get his arms away from himself. As soon as he's hitting the ball, when his arms are in close, you feel like it could get him and it could smack him out of the ground. But could he be brave and get it really wide? So he's got to fetch the ball, get his arms out in front of him. It's mouth-watering. The next 10 minutes are going to be amazing here.
Well, sadly, Bats, you won't be able to talk us through them because time for you to take a bit of R&R and be replaced by the magnificent duo of Harmison and Goff. India 67 runs behind, 2 big quicks in the commentary box with me. And the game is heating up, as Gareth Batty describes. Stokes into Pant drives, and it goes on the bounce, crowd catch to Johnny Bairstow at extra cover, and there's no run.
Well, talking of quicks, they've kept us in the game, haven't they? These two, I think Stokes and Anderson, have been magnificent last night, and obviously this morning especially, and now since lunch. It's just a shame we haven't got someone else who can bowl a bit of seam, because they look the most likely to take wickets in this game. They've got 4 between them, and absolutely both of them have bowled beautifully.
Yeah, both Ben Stokes and James Anderson might be a little shorter come the end of today. Certainly are going to get through the overs. 17 for Anderson, 15.1 for Stokes, who's around the wicket to the left-handed Pant, has a little shuffle of his feet before he picks the bat up. Slower ball from Stokes, goes down the leg side, and there's no run. And Ben Stokes looks uncomfortable on his way back to his mark, but we judge nothing from that with Ben Stokes. Tough lads up there in Durham, aren't they, Steve?
They are tough lads up there. They're made very, very strong up north, and he's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant, as ever when he gets on one of these spells.
Stokes hit the crease and gets that ball to jump at Rishabh Pant, who rather fends it down to the left of Gully and all the way out to backward point, who's on the fence, and they come through for a single. He has 25, Ashwin 11.
He tends to get better as the spell goes on, and normally that's into his 8th and 9th over, which is not really what you want when you're out in India with the heat and humidity and the surface that you're playing on. But he's been a champion in this innings so far, along with Jimmy Anderson. Really kept England going in the game, and what his captain would give another breakthrough here.
Back over the wicket to the right-handed Ashwin, and starts that one off a little straight, and Ashwin times the times the ball beautifully to the man just in front of square at square leg, and there's no run.
He's played like a top order batsman, hasn't he, Ashwin, in this series? He's more comfortable against spin than he is seam. I think that's quite obvious, and I think when he does come over to England in the summer, I think he'll get a few short balls. If it is on the flat side, which I'm not expecting it to be, if it swings around a bit, there's a good chance he'll nick off, but if it does go flat, I think he'll be getting a few short balls. Stokes in again, closer to the stumps this time, and that ball moves off the seam. Short of a length delivery, it climbed and moved away from the right-hander. He really is finding a little bit of extra something out of this surface, Ben Stokes. We have found that climb, haven't we, Ahmed? There's been that climb from just back of a length.
It's hit the surface,
and it's gone quickly.
It just seems the harder you hit the surface, you get something out of it. Something else happens, whether it nips off the seam or there's a little bit of unevenness in the pitch and the bounce. But it just seems that the harder you hit it, Ishan had it yesterday morning.
Just bouncer from Stokes. Ashwin is nicely underneath that one, ducked it sort of inside the line. Ben Stokes turns to the England dressing room and beckons for somebody or something at the end of his 16th over, 139 for 5. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say the bounce is uneven. I think it's steep, isn't it? It gets steep.
There's a little bit of inconsistency in there. I think the harder you hit the surface, there is a little bit of inconsistency. It does stand up a little bit, but I think it comes with the harder, the bowlers that hit the pitch hard rather than the pitch up and sort of kiss the deck bowlers.
Yeah, he shouldn't really be in any trouble. We saw one great delivery to Virat Kohli, which affected him, and the one to Ashwin. It's that length, hasn't it, that's got the batsman in a bit of trouble. And when Ben bends his back, and we all know he's a lot quicker than people give him credit for, a lot better bowler than people give him credit for. And I think if you look at he's not bowled as much, I would say, the last probably 12, 13 months for England. But I would say his averages have come down in the last 12, 13 months.
He's not bowled that much in the last 12, 13 months because he hasn't had to, because the balance of the attack's been the right one. Hence why he's bowled 16 overs this morning, or in this innings.
Yeah, enough said. Leach into the rough to Pant, who's on the back foot. Plays French cricket with that one, really, out of the rough. But there is a bit of turn there. We haven't seen Pant come out and attack Jack Leach. England have got the field set with a couple of men in catching, but 3 back on the leg side to Rishabh Pant. Just watching a little underlay of Pant screaming down the pitch at Leach and depositing him into the stands. But he's played much more soberly this time. He's on the back foot again, knocks it into deep mid wicket off the back foot along the ground, and they come through for a single. 140 for 5 now.
It looks a bit bigger though, the boundary, doesn't it, on the leg side? Jack Leach bowling into that, bowling over the wicket, and it just looks like it's a little bit bigger.
I think pressure as well, Darren. I think the pressure on the situation where the team's at this moment in time. If he runs down the wicket and misses one, at 140 for 6, and he puts his team in one almighty position. So I think while the fielders are on the boundary, are using these skills to milk the ball. And it'd be interesting if Joe decides to gamble a little bit and bring one of them fielders up and see what Rishi Pant decides to do with.
Leach is over the wicket. Big stride forward from Ashwin and defends it into extra cover. 56 overs, 56 and a half overs for 140 for 5 for India. Gives you an indication of just how well England have fought here on day 2. Leach is in once again and again finds that really good area on off stump, brings Ashwin forward, who is able to knock it just in front of square and come through for a single, bringing Rishabh Pant back on strike. I mean, it's interesting you say that about the situation of the game. In the first test in Chennai, England had posted 580. Pant came out with his team in big trouble, and he just ran at everything, made 90 in no time. I mean, you could say, I suppose, that he had nothing to lose. India was so far behind
the game.
Yeah. And in the end, the 90 kind of didn't really make any difference. What India needed at that point was for somebody to take some time out of the game, not put time back in it.
his innings in the second test was better.
Yeah.
Because that affected the result of the game.
Absolutely.
Leach is in again. Just drops a little short, and Pant is quick onto the back foot. Oh, goodness me, he's timed that well. Looked like Jimmy Anderson was going to haul that in, running away from the stumps, from extra cover out to the fence, and the ball just seemed to accelerate away from him.
That's where he's so good, isn't he? Rishabh Pant gets really deep in the crease. Such a good timer of the ball, and Jimmy Anderson might have a new running style, a new technique he's talked much about over the past couple of weeks, but he ain't stopping that because Rishabh Pant times the pants off it.
Yeah, he might hear that once or twice in his career, particularly in England this summer. But he did. Sweet timing indeed, as Leach is in once more. Misses the rough, and Ollie Pope has had a chance straight off the face of the bat. Ollie Pope has caught some screamers in his short time in there at short leg. He had to move sharply to his left. We'll catch the replay, I'm sure. Quick look as Pant is on the back foot, turns it into the leg side, straight off the middle of the bat, and it hits Ollie Pope on the knee just before he's able to get his hands to it. You're listening to commentary of the fourth test between India and England on TalkSport 2 with the Times and Sunday Times. And scores 140 for 5. India still 60 runs behind. Word from Darren Gough, and then Mark Nicholas will take over.
Yeah, Ollie Pope's such a good fielder, isn't he, in there at short leg. It's a horrible place to field, but he stays down, he stays low. Pant just punched it off his hip, hoping to just get one as it goes past Ollie Pope, but he got some kind of hand and knee on it, didn't he? An unbelievable effort from him. And that would have been a strangle. He got out himself a little bit, unfortunate, wasn't he, in that first innings? Inside edge onto the back pad up to short leg. So he'd have liked his revenge.
Still Stokes and still 2 slips in the gully attacking, 3 in the cover ring. And Ashwin is back, trying to work a spot on the leg side with that bottom hand of his, but not quite able to do it. He's a tall man and he prefers to play off the back foot. He very rarely do you see him take a big stride forward. Steve, you're dying to say something.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask Goffey from a fast bowler's point of view. Would you have a short leg for Ashwin? How far he's going back? He's not playing the short ball. He stands up because he's got a bad back. Ben Stokes, it's more psychological, putting something in his eye line on the leg side. Would you have a short leg in?
Goffey's thinking about it. Here comes Stokes again. And Ashwin plays it down into the gully area for no run from right at the top of the ball's bounce. That didn't get big on him like the one did on Kohli earlier today. I suppose that the only thought I have about Ashwin playing back at the moment, I'll let Goffey answer that in a sec, but really what Stokes wants now is exactly the ball that he bowled to.
Bit harder to the left-hander though, isn't it?
No, Rohit Sharma.
Yeah,
so
to Ashwin.
Do you see what I mean? Yeah, the ball he's had for Roach, and now that he's forced him back and he's exclusively playing back, now's the time for that big hooping laid-in swinger. Let's hope he can find it. He runs in now. Not many people in the ground today. Bangs it into the surface again. Ashwin plays it unconvincingly out on the offside from a leading edge. Right, back to you, Goffey.
What I would have field now, if I was bowling to Ashwin, I wouldn't have a short leg, the way I bowled especially, a bit different from Ami, but I think I'd have a man round the corner on the leg side, and I'd have a short mid-wicket, because then I've got 2 goes at it. I've got that short ball, it's in his mind, he's going right deep in his crease, and then if I throw one up there with a little bit of swing you're talking about, and he just try and clip it, if I don't get it quite right, it might bring short mid-wicket into play as well. So that's what I would go with.
This lack of spectators, it's dawned on me what I think the answer is, actually. Here comes Stokes again now, pounding in, 55 on his back, and there he tries, it almost works, not quite full enough. That's out, I think. That could well be run out. This is so close. England have a chance here. Brilliant from Jack Leach. So Ashwin drops it down on the leg side in the area Harmy was talking about, sets off for the single. Pant decides to go, and he's in real trouble here.
Have we got a bouncing bat? Bat?
Didn't ground it.
Dive
Maybe.
full length, and
I
can see where
think
Mark's at. He's out.
England have a chance here.
Grounded.
Oh,
Go to the big screen.
Oh, we're all disappointed.
Wow, it was Bairstow, and wow, isn't that deceptive? So often those direct hits, you tend to think it's tight and you'll prove right, but we were proved a foot wrong.
Yeah, in full speed, it looked like he was out. It looked like his bat was up in the air, but it just goes to show those two frames, the difference it makes whenever you're watching him run out. But Bairstow was in, he was pretty quick, good pick-up, good release.
Oh, you know, the bat didn't bounce you. That was the ball, that in-swing we were talking about. Truth is, I think we've just caught people brushing their teeth or making coffee, and we just wanted to liven them up a bit, get them jumping, get them thinking the cricket.
I tell you what, you can't bowl too long a spell here. They've got the new ball soon.
And because of how well England bowled, when the new ball does come around, England are still in the game.
Yeah, it's 22 overs away. Now Stokes is on a length at off stump. Pant is forward and pushes quietly to mid-off, and there's no run. The score 146 for 5, still 59 behind England. Pant has 30. He's played very well, actually. Sedate's the wrong word, because when he's had to dance down, hit it over the top, he has just a very considered and well played innings. He was beaten a bit by Anderson early on, but 51 balls of proper batting, I'd say.
Yeah, he's played well. He's been watchful, hasn't he? Especially to Anderson. Anderson bowled that wide round the wicket, bowled kind of wide into the rough to him, trying to tempt him into a big drive.
Stokes again, hair flowing back, big ginger beard on. And as Pant goes forward there, the ball goes onto his toe from his bat. It rolls out on the offside, and Bairstow says, "You want to go? You want to go?" Pant says, "Nope, I'll stay where I am, thanks." So the end of the Stokes over, 146 for 5 on a glorious day in Chennai, down in the south of India, once known as Madras, of course. Not Chennai, what am I talking about? That was the previous test. What I'm trying to say is, having had glorious days in Chennai, once known as Madras, we've now moved to the more modern stadium in Ahmedabad, and of course they're talking about greater BCCI control since the Shah family from this part of the world, and the Prime Minister, who is responsible for now the naming of the stadium but also the development of it, is from this neck of the woods. And there is a thought in India that there may be a power move from Mumbai to Ahmedabad, Mathura. I wonder, it's hard to believe it'll ever leave Mumbai. That is very much the strong arm holding of Indian cricket, and what a job the BCCI have done in these past couple of years in ensuring plenty of test matches are played by the most powerful nation on earth, that many young cricketers are emerging. India could probably put 2 high-class teams on the park and do well. So for all the talk of the IPL, they've done their bit to keep the pastoral care needed to keep test match cricket going.
Spot on, Mark. There was a worry, wasn't there, a few years ago,
Very
but he was
so.
going down very much the T20 route.
But
and
the new management of Indian cricket
yeah,
has been very good. Different. I mean, you wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of them, I don't think. But anyway, Jack Leach is going to bowl. I think that's a good decision. He lobs one up, and that's out. Caught at mid-wicket. A funny, soft old dismissal. Not Jack Leach's best ball, maybe his worst. It drifted miles down the leg side off a full length. Ashwin pushed it for a single, or tried to. Failed to. It lobbed up in the air, and at short mid-wicket, a comfortable catch was taken.
Is there a crowd in there, Mark? Because I can't hear a pin drop. Really quiet, absolutely huge wicket. Jack Leach, like I said, he's bowled really, really well this series. Just a steady ball. Pitched on leg stump, tried to turn it to the leg, a little bit of a leading edge, and straight to short mid-wicket. A huge dismissal that for Jack Leach in England. India now in serious trouble here. 146 for 6. We're on TalkSport 2. And Ashwin, who's been such a thorn in the side of England with ball and bat, is gone.
Yes, in such an unlikely way, because he did seem to have control. Maybe, there's no doubt that effort from Ben Stokes, that brief, the short pitches and everything, it just upsets your equilibrium. You get a bit jumpy, and Stokes troubled him, and now he's made a little mistake, albeit a bit of luck for England. It wasn't a very good ball, but maybe you make your own luck by a long period of intelligent bowling that holds the game nicely for you. And it was a good bowling change too, to get Leach into the attack with slightly fresher fingers after a break. Here comes Washington Sundar. Don't underestimate him. This is a lovely natural batsman, used to bat much higher up the order and has been successful in first-class cricket, so England should not take him for granted, and he's an ideal partner for Rishabh Pant. He's also got all the strokes, but he can certainly hang on in there. Quite a stylish looking player. But what a wicket. England need 4 more, and they've got 59 runs to play with. I can't tell you how tense the Indian dressing room will be now. Remember, if they don't win this test match, they don't make it to the... Well, a draw works, but it isn't going to be a draw, so forget the draw. If England win this test match, India don't make it to the World Test Championship final in England.
I'll bet they have a little bit of a grumble after all they've said this last few days. What would be quite nice if England did win this game, it would be a magnificent 2-2 series. I bet they do have a few moans about the pitch then.
Just a little bit.
What do you reckon, lads?
But how can you moan about the pitch?
Well, they will.
No, they won't.
They can't. They can't. This has been a great test match surface.
No.
This has been a great test match surface, which I don't think they would moan about. But I tell you what, and we are thinking too far ahead, but if they do win this test match, England, what a monumental achievement it's been this winter, even with all the selection that we've talked about.
India is still favourites, by the way. I mean,
there are no 2 letters bigger than I and F when put together.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
A long way to go, yeah. A long way to go.
146 for 6. New batsman. Washington Sundar is on strike to Jack Leach. There's some rough outside the off stump. England have a couple of fielders around the bat, and he comes and he lands it in the perfect spot. And Sundar plays well forward and defends it excellently. Television just showing a replay of the wicket, and the catch was taken by Ollie Pope, who still has his helmet on from the short leg position. So we'll be very pleased with that.
Yeah, a bit of a leading edge, wasn't it, from Ashwin? Just
again, he bowls into that area outside off stump. Sundar shuts the face and tries to plonk it down the ground for a single, but doesn't get it. Leach does the fielding of his own bowling.
How many times do you see that, though, Mark, where an excellent spell of bowling and you feel as though the pressure, so much pressure and concentration by the batsman is just released by just a little bit of a bowling change.
Well, he's really lobbing it up there, Jack Leach, encouraging Sundar to drive, which he does firmly, but Leach throws himself this time to his right, having gone left off the previous ball to make the stop.
And it's a big innings this for Sundar. Listen, Virat Kohli he told us all that he was in the side to get in some runs, batting down the order.
Down he comes, Sundar, and again it's Leach who does the fielding of his own bowling as Sundar slaps it into the turf. The ball often comes quickly off the pitch itself when you hit it into that pitch, but because these are crumblier surfaces, maybe it didn't there. No, he hit it into the rough and it bounced up, and Leach, who has a great mark of dirt where he's dived to make a stop on his chest, parries it and saves it, and now he bowls it on a good length, and it hits the splice of Sundar's bat in his forward defence. End of a terrific over, albeit not the best set of balls he'll bowl, but if you get have an over that gets Ashwin out, you're going to be very pleased with yourself. Ashwin went for 13 incidentally, caught Pope bowled Leach. Rishabh Pant has 30, and Sundar yet to get off the mark. 146 for 6. I was mentioning the crowd, or lack of it, and why, as against the big crowd in the previous match, and I've come to the conclusion it's simply that was a day-night game and a first. And day-night games, people come in the afternoon, they come later, and they can certainly come in the evenings, and I'm sure the prices were kind. To come in daytime during the week when work is on in this heat is less likely, and also there isn't the novelty factor of the first game being played in the newly generated stadium.
And by the way, if you're going to go to a day-nighter with a pink ball, you're going to get there the first 2 days, because there's a good chance you won't be able to watch a test match, no matter where you are in the world.
Except the UAE.
So they're spreading it out over this one hopefully will go 4 days at least. At a push. 4 days?
Do you think it's a day in innings?
It's looking like that.
Would England settle for that? Would England settle for bowling them out for...
Yeah, I would.
Yep.
Yeah, I would.
What, for 225?
I think the longer the surface, as long as the surface is in the sun, the more deterioration it is. And I think if England have a day batting tomorrow and say, right, 200, 220 on the fourth day,
Phew, we are getting ahead of ourselves. A full day batted.
Stay calm. Here's Dom Bess. Both spinners on then. Bess bowls a good ball. Off stump. Spins. Bounces. Left alone by Rishabh Pant. And it's taken by Ben Folkes. Has to jump a little to take it in his midriff.
He did. Full day batting. I'm a bit worried about Army. We're getting a bit carried away there. Let's just take one day at a time. One session at a time here. India are finding it difficult. England are going to find it difficult.
Very. Bess again. Oh, and he goes to reverse sweep. It hits the pad, does it? There's a half appeal by Folkes. Nothing more comes of it, and the reverse sweep is a miss for Pant on that occasion. Quite difficult to reverse sweep out of this rough. Not that it's behaving especially badly, but when bounce is uneven, reverse sweeping is trickier. You need to get the length right to do it successfully. Bess is operating round the wicket, lobs that one up, and Pant, because he'd used his feet, gets the easiest single out to long off, who's most of the way back to the boundary. Bess, like Leach, covered in muck, or he's dived around the field somewhere, the dirt, maybe even around his own bowling crease to stop the ball there, but absolutely. In the old days, you'd have been told to wear some clean clothes, clean flannels. He had a lot of dirt on him.
And I got 5 days out of them.
Yeah. Short and cut. Sundar goes back and hits it very hard. There's a man sweeping out there. Dom Sibley, who does the fielding. So a single run there for Sundar that gets him off the mark. That's the 6th ball that he's faced.
We talked about this yesterday, didn't we, Army, about how he captains Dom Bess. I think he's given him a lot of cover today, hasn't he, out on the boundaries. He's given him a man out on the offside for that bad delivery and just trying to give him some confidence and get him in the game.
It's nicely bowled, a little fuller. Sundar went back to play it, but it bounced more than he would have expected. Pant went back to play it, bounced more than he would have expected, and he ended up playing it around chest height. Slip and short leg, the two men waiting for a catching opportunity, but a really soft ball from Bess is played with the minimum of fuss, off the back foot out to long on for a single. Bess will not be pleased with the sets of balls that he's bowling here. There's inconsistency. It's pretty ordinary over, comes to an end. 149 for 6 with Pant on 32 and Sundar on 1.
Yeah, you don't want to be setting fields for bad bowling. But you want to be trying to give the bowler the confidence that if he does land it, he's got fielders in catching positions that can potentially get a wicket, which will then give him confidence. I would like with 10 minutes to go before a break to bring the man at long on and long off up against Pant and say, right, who has been quite quiet, he's batted really, really well and watchful, but just say, right, do you want to have a go? Try and buy his wicket just before this break. So it'd be interesting to see if Joe Root thinks that way, especially to Jack Leach and not so much to Dom Bess.
But Steve, that's a real change to England's model for the day. And if you've only got 56 runs to play with here,
but you've only got 2 overs. What, 2 overs would you say before the break, before the tea break? It's worth a little gamble of potentially losing 8 runs to Richie Pant. If you walk off before,
you might lose 18. You could hit 3 for 6 in 1 over.
But if you were to get him out,
of course, that's absolutely. It's very interesting.
We had the
normally
argument
my instinct would be to go your way of thinking, but I like the control England have had over the game, and I'm not sure I'd change what they're making work now. Anyway, Rishabh Pant is on strike to Joe Root, who's replaced Jack Leach. Great ball. You see, he's more direct, as Gareth Batty would say. That kept a bit low, and Pant kept it out on the back foot. But Joe cannot, he cannot ignore his own bowling to keep Dom Bess happy, to keep his confidence high. You've got to be ruthless here. Joe has to bowl, and he bowls another ball back of a length that Pant works away nicely off his body, and it's going to be worth a couple as Bairstow comes round from deep backward square leg to do the fielding. It was just a bit too straight, and from round the wicket with Joe's lowish arm, Well, that was a higher release than some. Those angles work in favour of the left-hander as long as there's no spin.
I'd be tempted, sorry Darren, I'd be tempted to have a look at Dan Lawrence, the over before tee as well, because he's tall, and we've seen Sundar, he got Ben Stokes out, but you've seen Sundar, Ashwin's quite tall, and see if there's any bounce for Dan Lawrence.
Okay, well, they're all good ideas. I don't dispute that. And now that's short again from Root. Does bounce high, and back goes Rishabh Pant, and very elegantly plays the ball square on the offside for a single. He goes to 35. Sundar has 1. India's deficit 53 at the moment, so England still with a bit to play with. They've worked very well today. 3 wickets in the first session, 3 in the second. We are coming closer to the tea break as Washington Sundar pats the ground in quite an orthodox stance, plays a nice forward defensive stroke, re-grips his gloves or re-velcros his gloves off on, very David Warner like that. Every single ball that David Warner faces, he undoes the velcro and does it up again on both of his gloves. Forward goes Sundar, and defends not quite as convincingly as the last time. Root really bowling it in there pretty quick at the moment, and well, the batsmen have come together for a chat, but it's not the end of the over, and back goes Sundar to take his stance. Root has to wait for him as he velcros and gets ready again now. Pretty good over from Joe Root, defended on the offside that last ball for no run, 152 for 6.
Well, one thing David Warner didn't do in the last Ashes series, he didn't do it too often, did he? Hey, because Stuart Broad kept getting him out, so we didn't see it too often in that series.
Those outswingers from round the wicket. Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it, because he's such a terrific player,
it
isn't he?
became hugely predictable, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely terrific player. I love what, and again, and we were talking about
contests.
Watching Rohit Sharma bat. I used to love watching David Warner bat as well when he gets going and comes
not
in.
as elegant a player as Rohit Sharma.
When he first came on the scene, David Warner,
thrilling.
Came from T20 cricket.
He did.
Suddenly to a test match. Yeah. And he came in and he was hitting it over the top, wasn't he, in the first hour of a test match? Yeah. Well, brilliant to watch.
He was picked for Australia before he played a first-class game. Anyway, you're listening, well, I'll tell you in a second what you're listening to. I'm sure you know. Here's Bess. Oh, we're bowled, lobs it right up, hits him in front of leg stump, I think, but a bit high maybe. Do England review? Root thinks about it. It didn't spin, it went on with the arm round the wicket to the left-handed punt. It's such a big wicket. My guess is it's only hitting the top of the stumps. My guess is that it goes umpire's call if it is.
Review for leg before.
But I'm sure.
Umpire has given not out. Fair delivery.
I'm sure because it's Rishabh Pant and the situation of the game, Root's gone for this.
Yeah, he had to. And he's going so far back, Pant, as well, isn't he? Did it to Joe Root the last over.
Bat is close.
Going
Can you give me ultras
so
to double
far
check,
back in the crease. He's got to have half a chance on it. Because he's not a tall man, is he, Rishabh Pant? Not a tall man.
Keep going.
But it hits him above the knee roll.
Keep going. Yeah, there is a gap. Yeah. Yeah, let it hit the pad.
On-field decisions not out though.
Bad. No bat
out.
involved.
It's just not out, is it? I don't think.
Ball tracking
He's
when you're
missing
ready.
leg stump, clipping leg stump. What do you think? Top corner of leg stump, maybe.
Stand by.
Possibly.
Missing
but
leg stump.
No, I just think with the on-field umpire that's going to go with him, which is a shame because it could do Don Bess's confidence the world of good.
Pitching in line.
Well, hang on.
Backed in line. Wickets umpire's call. Go to Nitin, please.
No.
Nitin.
Ball was
you're on
hitting the
screen.
bails.
Stay with your decision.
So the original call by the umpire, it transpired that the ball held its line a bit, straightened a bit, and was hitting the bails, and punters got away with it. It was closer than any of us thought.
Isn't it strange, this umpire's call thing? When you look at Rohit Sharma, we're just clipping the bail, but because the umpire gave it out, they stick with the umpire's call. And then that one, it's hitting the bail, but again, the umpire gave it not out. Exactly the same situation.
The one thing I've noticed throughout this test match is that when the ball has hit the batsman and the pad, the actual contact on DRS looks a little bit lower.
I agree.
Because that looked high. And there was one in the first innings that looked high, and in England innings it looked high.
It's a good call, Harmy. Down the pitch comes Pant, wanting no more of it. Chips it to mid-on, I should say, for a single. He wanted a second, but Washington Sundar didn't want any of it, and James Anderson is so quick across the ground that when he's doing the fielding, you're better off not risking a second. I think it's a good point, Harmy. There was one that
Bairstow, wasn't it?
Yes, was it Bairstow? It might have been Root. I thought it hit him around sort of upper shin, and in fact it had hit him on the knee roll. Yeah. A slip and a short leg still. Here's Dom Bess bowling to Washington Sundar. It's a good ball around middle stump. Bowling a nice tight line, no room outside off stump to drive or cut, though there's been very little driving in this match. And there's no run as Sundar pushes it to straightish mid-wicket. Tense scene here. You can really feel the pressure on the players. That ball's more shorter, flatter, faster outside off stump, and Sundar sort of drops his body on it and pushes it rather inelegantly for a usually quite elegant player to square cover and gets no run. 153 for 6, closing in the tea break, probably be at the end of this over. Taps his ground, taps it again, and that's a lovely delivery that is left alone wisely by Sundar. Bounces and turns, and Ben Foakes takes it, brings the ball back to the bails, but the batsman had never left his ground, so he doesn't whip the bails off. If you could just get that ball fuller and straighter and get it to spin that much, wow, that would be near impossible to play. And again, a big bouncy thing. Foakes leaps up to grab it, and that will bring the tea break on the second day. And India will be pleased to have Pant still there. England will be mighty pleased to be right in this cricket match. The score at tea, 153 for 6, which tells something of the story. Certainly the story of England's fight back, which has been courageous and well thought through. They've got their tactics right today, but it's a mighty performance, really. When you take everything into account, 2 big losses in a row, it's a mighty performance to have come back like this after yesterday's lacklustre batting.
Yeah, it is indeed, and like I said, they've been so disappointed. Joe Root said it at the toss, didn't he, where we got the first chance on a pitch that we know is going to spin as the game goes on. We're just going to bat well, and I think we all thought around 300, 320 would have been the absolute par score. Virat Kohli said day one will be the best day to bat, but today has been a good day to bat. It's not been that bad, not too many demons in the pitch. There's been a little bit for the seamer, there's been a little bit for the spinner. As the day goes on, we've seen the odd one dust and bounce now, but England find themselves still in this match, even though they had that first poor day, and India are on a battle to try and get up to England's score.